Bigbossjock, part 27 of the reading, book of poems. Tock, situation is about to go off. Bigbossjock radio show, airing live on the mighty 750. Bienvenido al programa. Soy el locutor, el gran jefe. Al entro a mí se encuentra nuestro único Dios. Él me ayuda a hacer ese programa. La rima, línea por línea, quedando con el ritmo. Yo doy mi gracias a nuestro único Dios por acompañarme, ayudarme a hacer la rima. Siguiendo con la leída del libro de poesía, Tock, situation is about to go off. Back to the crime scene. 75 Manson cult members. A murdered young woman. In the news, been reported evidence of a child at the scene been left. Never said what was the evidence. Should help with investigation. Speaking about my stool sample, if law enforcement that gives this a read chooses to do their job, what they chose for their occupation, someone opens an investigation, works out a moral conviction, not only for their paychecks, then are warded off by U.S. national security. Finally get some closure after years of this unnecessary mystery, cause the victim's family great misery. Correct details they should receive regarding their loved one's murder. Yankee Sam, such as with Charles, women were sprung. From prison they were brought, left in their cells, been the lookalikes. Women who wore disguises. Nancy Pittman, along with Linda Prom, also others, were released. Prison they didn't return, only they did upon request. I remember Linda Squeaky Prom, 89, she needed to go back inside. Left her fingerprints, parole review hearing, she applied. Then Daly double played her part. During her parole hearing, they noted the different eyes, U.S. national security sealed, and other operations that have been done on her face. Her face, is it her nose, right? That's right. Her eyes are not the same as the other one. That's right. Recognized was that Prom, she hadn't been inside doing her time. Speaking about an 89 parole hearing. Undercover operation was the excuse. They admitted that she'd been outside. They had to. That's clandestine services. The CIA. No, her agency's the DIA, but I think the CIA did the explaining. Why she had on a disguise, had surgically changed her face. Who did it? It's DIA. Exactly, her agency. All right, is the DIA. And that's who kept her from being exposed that she wasn't doing her time. That her cooperation in an undercover operation was vital. No other way of carrying out the operation. And that was acceptable by the parole board. U.S. national security, hush order. Victim in the church, young woman that got hurt, been hung upside down. I've already mentioned this. So exercise piece of equipment purchased on policy with John's Macy's store credit card. Been bought from there. Purchased from Macy's home with living section. Aluminum tube frame, neoprene green canvas with white canvas straps. Been placed around the victim's ankles, held her bound. Canvas marks were left. Indents marked on her legs. Been visible on the woman's lower extremities. Been key in the case. Mystery that got U.S. national security sealed. Aquino never got tried. Couldn't be explained. Reason why Manson been at the scene instead of locked up, held in his prison cell. And Aquino was Manson's handler. Didn't get tried either. Everything covered up. Manson's boot prints been left, were found at the crime scene. His signature boots, ones he almost always used, been dressed in chaps, used a blue with white flannel. Speaking at the crime scene, 75. Nancy Pittman, his bloodline, I already mentioned that. Just reading off my notes here. Sue with Glenn, the Farnsworths, reside at the end of First Street, lived there from 82 to 84. Speaking about, then population 200, Edgewood, California. They lived at the end of the road, same street as the Evanses. Speaking about Dan, Carolyn with Dan. From 78 to 84, that's when the Evanses lived there. Before the end of the road, Bill Cox, he's another, if you're familiar with the Bigbossjock radio show, who's been mentioned. Bill Cox lived across the street from the Farnsworths. Lived there from 82 to 84. Farnsworths Sue is a Manson cult member, and so is her husband, the whole family. I don't know if the children have the two tattoos also. They felt they do. I know Sue did. She was part of that group. DIA Pat Beth Hawkins, Barker Ranch, she visited there. She has the Manson tattoos, cross with a star. She also has skull with bones. And she's highly placed at the DIA. Pat Beth Hawkins, Gruber Nation, DU, Denver University, earned her legal degree in the process, joined a sorority known to many, Skull and Bones, including being a Star of the East Mason since her early years. So had been her father Earl. Iquitos, Peru, April 1st of 14, John Kerry, along with others, stood at her side, Skull and Bones alumni. I hadn't been aware that Earl was a Mason. No. John became a Mason, had that ring on for many years. Frank Gruber, been her first husband, Pat Beth, Canadian citizen. Frank Gruber, born in Kamloops, Saskatchewan province, had studied at DU, same while as Pat Beth. Year had been 72. Her man, though, then been Phil Stewart. Them both been at Sue's, quotation mark, intervention. It was an intervention to get Sue to stop prostituting. Happened in Salt Lake City. I was born in 70 in Salt Lake City. Frank, in 72, got busted. Drugs found on him. Possession, cocaine, also marijuana. What he was brought up on, that is when he received his U.S. federal identity, became an agent of the DIA upon returning to Canada, then became a Canadian Royal Mountie. Vancouver, British Columbia, been his beat, still is till today. He been at the church also, Iquitos, Peru, April of 14. He is Skull and Bones, Mason ring wearer also, 33rd is his degree. San Francisco Chronicle, this is going back to Christina Hernandez Santana, my classmate, back in the mid-70s, Montessori, Fremont, California, located on Mission Boulevard back then. San Francisco Chronicle, been an article, 1974, been the year. Felipe, along with Rose Santana's, were mentioned. Their mother's bead store been the connection. Entire family, along with some patrons, received their mention for drug distribution along with trafficking. Substance been heroin. Felipe had brought on the commotion, been accused of child molestation. Carlos then received not a mention. Only been that it was another family member, brother of Felipe, but not by name, I believe is what it stated in the paper. That's right. Carlos's file been sealed. U.S. national security sealed was the case. U.S. federal identities received the entire family, including the known musician Carlos. He just hadn't been named in the news. Same while had been accused, been described as a family member, that of the then named accused Felipe. Been on the evening news without having the actual real digital archive. Probably won't be there. A hard copy of the paper, one from someone's unknown personal collection, that would still have the article. I was also named as one of the children, the principal child that was involved in the child molestation case. It was Carlos and Felipe who frequently sexually assaulted me at the neighboring hotel next to their mother Rose's haberdashery bead store. I live in squander. Jason Baker, son of Nadine Baker, she's also a frequenter of the Manson cult, placed at the CIA, command center operator. Jason Baker, Stimoceiver implanted Jason Baker, son of Nadine Baker. James Carmichael, Stimoceiver implanted James Carmichael. His mother, Pat McGuire, also is a frequenter of the Manson cult. Jason Sanchez Gomez, F.B.I. agent, Minneapolis office. Jason Sanchez Gomez, implanted with a Stimoceiver. His mother, known Manson cult member, one of those that was on the screen. And I believe she's Gomez? That's right. And he is Shasta High School, class of 89, Jason Gomez. Implanted with a Stimoceiver. Any of these Stimocevers? Just go by, detect them. Here we go. Angie Bianchiana. Brian Long. Those two are Shasta High School, class of 88, classmates, implanted with a Stimoceiver. Brian Long, he's alumni from Montessori. Angie Bianchiana, her grandfather Sam Giacono. They put Stimocevers in the crime families. They, the DIA, directed by the Nazi bloodlines. Cousin Brenda Gelkin, her son Brandon, along with Jeremy Broughton, Byron Stevens, he passed away. Who else has got one? There's a couple others out there. Dan Hayes, class 88, Shasta High School. They all can be swept. An NFR2K, that's a brand of an RF detector. That or of greater sensitivity, these people when approached would show that they emit RF if swept by an RF detector. All the Stimocevers receive at FM 900 megahertz. They all are located between 70 megahertz AM and 80 megahertz AM. They can be contacted on the FM at 900 megahertz. Howard Peterson lived near Keswick, California, off of Lake Boulevard. Lived closer to Buckeye. Father Chad Peterson, Central Valley High, class of 88. They are not Pine Ridge Reservation, as I suspected they were. No, they are Manson cult members. And his mother was another that was often seen on the TV. Dave Matthew Crosland, formerly back in the Manson Cole on the TV days. That's Dave Grosh. I'll leave his hometown out. His woman back in the day had been another that was often on the TV. U.S. Federal Agent Bill Cox, he also frequented the Manson cult. I need to explain, and I will. There's a story about Bill Lemons. I mentioned his wife, Susan Lemons, the Ray-Bans. He was on the chopper. He was on the crew that dropped me everywhere. Because, he'd get on different ones and be part of different groups. He was the last one I'd see when I would turn back and look at the hatchway. There's a whole story. He was listed as POW for decades. His wife, along with children, were a POW family. He was never POW. He was part of my program the whole time. Bigbossjock. Inside of me is our one only God, Father in heaven, Allah. He helps me do this rhyme. I do give my thanks to our Allah, Father in heaven, our one only God. For a brief moment, signing off. Soy el locutor, el gran jefe. Al entro a mí se encuentra nuestro único Dios. Él me ayuda a hacer esa rima. Por mi parte, yo doy gracias a nuestro único Dios. Firmando fuera por un breve momento.